corporations. So far, classes continue our discussion on corporations. So far, ang na-discuss na nating class are regular corporations. Regular corporations are subject to RSIT and MSIT. Okay? Now, discuss naman natin class yung special corporations. Ayan, special corporations. Sir, bakit tinawag na special? Because they are subject to preferential tax rates. Preferential meaning yung tax rates for them are, most of them are lower than 25% or 20%, which is our regular corporate income tax. Okay? Now, again, yung special corporations na yan, may iba-iba silang tax rates. So yung mistake ng mga students, minimemorize lang without really knowing kung ano ba yung mga special corporations. So gagawin nating approach for this one class, isa-isahin natin sila, and then I'll give you konting details lang about them and things to remember for each of them. Alright? Sige, so let's go to our Google Sheets. Special corporations, letter A, proprietary educational institutions and non-profit hospitals. So, i-separate natin yung dalawa na yan. Doon muna tayo sa proprietary educational institutions. Okay, so proprietary educational institutions. So, nakalagay na tax rate dyan, class, is 1%. Pero actually, sa train, okay, it's 10%. So, kaya nakalagay dyan, class, from July 1 to July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2023, okay, it's 1%. And then back to 10% starting July 1, 2023. Okay, so lagay natin yan. So 1% from July 1, 2020, okay, 7/1/2020 to June 30, 2023. Okay? And then starting July 1, 2023, balik ka na sa 10%. Got it? Alright. Now, sir, ano ba yung proprietary educational institutions? Plus, these are your private schools. Okay? And para mag-qualify ka dyan, you have to get permit from either DepEd or CHED. Okay? So basically, si DepEd, siya yung bahala magbigay ng permit for primary and secondary education. Okay? Primary meaning sa mga grade school. Okay? Secondary naman, yan yung high school. Kasama yung senior high school. Okay? Under DepEd yan. Si CHED naman, siya yung bahala sa tertiary education, college education, okay? And post-grad studies. Ayan. Now, if ang permit mo galing sa TESDA, kasi si TESDA naman yung nagbibigay ng mga vocational courses. For example, mga 6 months, 1 year na courses, hindi siya magka-qualify under proprietary education institution. It should be either DepEd or CHED. Okay? So, class, important for proprietary education institutions, they are also subject to predominance test. Okay? Predominance test. So, parang predominance test sa dividends, meron din dito yan. Okay? So, wherein, i-check mo, class, kung ano yung mas mataas. Okay? Tignan mo if yung gross income from related activities, okay, is greater than gross income from unrelated activities. Okay? Or, the gross income from unrelated activities is greater than gross income from related activities. Alright? Kapag nandito ka, mas mataas yung related sa unrelated, yung tax rate mo is this one. Okay? 1% or 10%. Alright? On the other hand naman, class, kapag mas mataas yung unrelated kaysa sa related, they will be taxed as a regular corporation. Okay? Again, pag sinabi kong regular corporation, subject yan sa RSIT na either 25% or 20%. So, depende. Kapag domestic corp, may instance na 20% yan. And also subject to MSIT of either 1% or 2%. Okay? So, yung 1%, ito rin yung date doon, tama? Alala nyo? July 1, 2020 to 6/30/2023 din yan. And then back to 2% starting July 1. Alright? So, sir, ano ba ibig sabihin ng related activities? So, dapat yun yung gross income mo coming from activities related to school. Okay? For example, ito yung mga examples natin. Gross income from tuition fees, okay, and miscellaneous fees. Okay? What else? Actually, kasama din dyan yung income from canteen, okay, from library, or for example naman, medical school, okay, mga hospital fees na charge mo sa students. Ayan. So, these are examples of related activities. Okay? Answer na naman yung example ng unrelated. For example, class, yung school meron siyang vacant lot. Okay? Yung vacant lot na yun, pinaparenta sa mga tenants. Well, obviously, yung rental income na yun, hindi siya school activity. So, unrelated yun. So, pag school ka, make sure na lang na yung income mo, gross income hindi net taxable income, okay? Gross income, sa related, dapat mas mataas siya sa unrelated para maging mababa yung tax rate mo. Okay? Otherwise, regular corporation ka. Okay? So, ito yung summary niyan pag schools. Ito yung possible na classification niyan. So, yung classification for schools class, tanda mo, it can be either private school, which is yung pinag-uusapan natin yan. Okay? Pwede ring government or public school. Or pwedeng non-stock, non-profit school. Okay? Non-stock, non-profit. Alright. So, if private school, ito na yan. Okay? So, 1% slash 10%. Got it? Ano ba example ng mga private schools? UST, okay? DLSU, Xavier University, okay? Holy Angel University, UE, ano pa? St. Louis University, okay? Mga private schools yan. So, they are subject to 1% or 10%. Got it? Now, kapag naman government or public school, for example, UP, okay? PUP, ano pa? PLM, mga ganyan. Mga government schools, tandaan mo class, exempt sila. Hindi sila nagbabayad ng income tax. Got it? Pag naman non-stock, non-profit, ano example, sir, ng non-stock, non-profit schools? For example, kasi yung University of Southern Luzon Foundation, okay? Dr. Gloria Lacson College Foundation, yung mga foundation sa pangalan ng schools, non-stock, non-profit yan, alright? They are also exempt from income tax. Got it? Ayan, tatandaan mo, tatlo na yan. Pero take note, class, na yung mga schools na yan, they are still subject to final withholding tax and capital gains tax. Hindi sila exempt dyan, ha? They're still subject to final withholding tax and capital gains tax. Ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, class, yung corporate income tax. Ito. Corporate income tax pinag-uusapan natin dyan. Okay? As to final withholding tax and CGT, lahat sila subject dyan. Got it? Okay. Now, dito ko na ilagay, class, yung, di ba sabi ko, hihiwalay ko yan. Meron kang letter A pa rin tayo, proprietary education institutions and non-profit hospitals. So, dito tayo sa non-profit hospitals. Sama ko siya dito. Non-profit hospitals. So, basically, class, yung non-profit hospitals, same rules yung mag-a-apply as this one. Okay? So, it means they're also subject to 1% and 10%. And 1% and 10%. And then, mag-a-apply din sa kanila yung predominance test. So, dapat yung gross income na related sa hospital activities, dapat mas mataas sa unrelated yan. Otherwise, magiging treated sila as regular corporation na subject to RSIT and MSIT. Got it? Now, for hospitals naman, class, ito yung classification. Tatlo din. Okay? Number one, the hospital can be a private hospitals. Okay? Pag sabi mong private hospitals, ibig sabihin, ito yung mga for-profit hospitals. Okay? So, ano examples ng mga private hospitals? Yung actually, yung mga biggest na hospitals and schools, yung mga sinasabi ko. Na? Private hospitals, yung Makati Medical Center, it's a private hospital. Asian Hospital, ayan. So, private hospital yan. Actually, class, yung mga private hospitals na yan, they are treated as regular corporations. Okay? So, pag regular corporations, automatic ito agad isipin mo. Okay? RSIT and MSIT yan. Got it? So, RSIT and MSIT yan. Now, another classification for hospitals is government or public hospital. Ano yung mga largest in the Philippines? You have the Philippine Heart Center, okay? You have the Lung Center of the Philippines, yung Philippine General Hospital or PGH. Mga government hospitals na yan, they are exempt from tax. Okay? So kung yung government schools, exempt from tax, government hospitals, exempt din sila from tax. Right? And the last one is non-profit hospital. Well, yung non-profit hospital, actually, yan yung pinag-uusapan natin dito. Okay? Actually, ang isang example na non-profit hospital, yung St. Luke's Medical Center. Actually, it's a non-profit. Alright? So, akala ko noong una, private hospital yun. It's a non-profit hospital. Yung St. Luke's Medical Center, actually, subject siya sa 1% and 1% or 10% tax rate. So, again, pag sinabi kong 1%, dito siya, yung dates na to. Pag sinabi kong 10%, starting July 1, 2023. Okay. Sige, let's move on to letter B. Okay. Letter B, nakalagay diyang class, is non-stock, Ayan. Non-stock, non-profit, educational, nakalagay, educational institutions and other NPOs. Okay? Institutions and other NPOs, non-profit organizations. Doon muna tayo class sa non-stock, non-profit. O, tapos na tayo dyan. Ito siya. Non-stock, non-profit, exemption from income tax. So, mag-focus tayo dito sa other non-profit organizations. So, yung class, yung non-profit organizations na yan, it can be for charitable, okay, purposes, or religious purposes. Ayan. Yung charitable purposes class, ito yung mga examples niyan. Lagay ko dito, charitable. Magandang mga examples yan, yung Gawad Kalinga or GK, okay, Bantay Bata, ano pa, World Vision Philippines, ayan. So, yan yung mga charitable organization. So, ang tatandaan mo dyan class na kapag yung revenue, okay, or nakalagay dyan, all assets and revenues used actually, directly and exclusively for educational purposes and charitable, religious purposes, they're exempt from, actually dalawa yung exemption nila. Income tax and exempt from income tax and real property tax, RPT. Alright? Income tax and real property tax. So, balik tayo dito. Yun yung example ng charitable organizations. Pag sinabi mo namang religious organization, so basically, class, ito yung mga, well, mga churches sa Philippines. Catholic Church, INC, JIL, ayan, exempt yan sa tax and real property taxes. Okay? So now, take note, class, na ang pinag-uusapan natin dito is RPT, real property tax, which is a local tax. Okay? It's different from capital gains tax. Okay? Subject pa rin sila sa final withholding tax and capital gains tax. Similar dito. Di ba sabi ko kanina yung schools, subject to final withholding tax and capital gains tax, ganun din sa hospitals. Alright? Yung RPT is different. So later, or next time, pag-aaralan natin siya, but it is a form of real property tax. Got it? So ulitin ko. Non-stock, non-profit, education institutions, religious organizations, charitable organizations, they're exempt from income tax and real property tax. Okay? And pero subject pa rin sila sa final withholding tax and capital gains tax. Okay, letter C. Income from international carriers. So lagay natin, international carriers. Okay. So class, pag sabi mong international carriers, we are not talking about yung mga domestic carriers. Hindi ito yung PAL, hindi ito yung Cebu Pacific. Okay? Ito yung Cathay Pacific, okay, ano pa? For example, Cathay Pacific, Singapore Airlines, what else? Eva Air, Korean Air, etc. Ayan. So again, hindi ito yung PAL or Cebu Pacific, ha? We're talking about international carriers. Actually, yung scope nito, class, this includes yung air or shipping, okay? Pero para mas madaling discussion natin, mag-focus tayo dun sa air, yung mga airlines. Okay, now, international carriers, nakikita nyo doon, class, they are subject to 2.5% on their gross Philippine billings. Okay, so 2.5% on GPB, gross Philippine billings. Okay, sir, ano ba yung gross Philippine billings? So, ganito lang yan, class. Pag sinabi mong gross Philippine billings, these are the gross revenues, okay, gross revenues gross revenues derived from carriage of passenger, alright, cargo, or mail, okay, passenger, cargo, or mail, originating from Philippines, okay, in a continuous and uninterrupted flight. Okay? Ulitin natin. So, yung international carriers, they are subject to 2.5%. Okay? Kaya tinawag natin na preferential because mas mababa siya. Okay? 2.5% on gross Philippine billings. So, ano yung GPB? Basically, yun yung revenues derived from carriage of passenger, cargo, mail. Alright? Pero take note, class, originating from the Philippines. Galing sa Philippines. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, it's an outgoing flight, okay? In a continuous and uninterrupted flight. So, kahit saan binili yung ticket, kahit saan ka nag-book, kahit saan nagbayad, basta yung flight na yun from Philippines to abroad, okay, part siya ng gross Philippine billings. Got it?
So now class, isipin mo lang na kaya ako nilagay dyan yung classification. Nakita nyo yun, meron tayong column for classification. So nakalagay dyan, yung international carrier is considered as RFC or Resident Foreign Corporation. RFC siya, so alam natin class, kapag RFC, taxable siya within the Philippines. So kaya nangyari dito, dapat yung flight coming from the Philippines. Kasi yun yung income earned within the Philippines. Okay? Kasi kapag ingoing, okay, pagpapunta ng Philippines, from abroad to Philippines, income earned abroad yun. Okay? Hindi yun part ng gross Philippine billings. Also take note, nakalagay dyan, continuous and uninterrupted flight. Okay? So ito tandaan mo dyan. Meron tayong dalawang klaseng flight. We have the non-stop flight, okay? And then meron tayong connecting flight or yung tinatawag natin na transshipment flight, okay? Pag non-stop, for example, guys, from Philippines to Japan. So for example, this is for 4 hours, okay? 4 hours. Philippines to Japan, walang hinto-hinto, non-stop flight yan. 100% yan, part of the gross Philippine billings. Kasi continuous and uninterrupted. Tama? Ngayon naman class, for example, from Philippines to US. Okay? And then, instead na, syempre, masyadong malayo yung US, so ilang hours ang biyahe dyan, meron layover. Okay? So, hinto muna sa Hong Kong, for example, and then pupunta ng US. Right? So, sa Hong Kong, ang tawag natin dyan yung layover airport. Ito yung tatandaan mo dyan, class. So, depende yan. Yung Hong Kong to US, titignan mo kung same carrier or different carrier. Okay? Same carrier or different carrier. Kapag same carrier, so alam natin this one is part of GPB. Tama? Gross Philippine billings yan. Kapag same carrier from layover airport, Hong Kong to US, part siya ng gross Philippine billings. Got it? Ngayon, pag different carrier na yung sinakyan mo from Hong Kong to US, it is no longer part of your gross Philippine billings. Bakit, sir? Ito lang tandaan mo lagi, class. International carriers, resident foreign sila, tama? So, taxable sila sa income within the Philippines. Ito, within the Philippines yan, of course. Okay? Ngayon, pag same carrier, it's as if, so same carrier pa, it's as if Philippines to US yan, kaya within the Philippines pa rin to. Ito naman, different carrier na, iba na yung earned outside na yan, kasi from Hong Kong to US na yan, using a different carrier. Okay? So, yun yung rules mo for gross Philippine billings. Got it? Alright. Next, letter D. Okay, letter D na tayo. Nakalagay dyan. Nakalagay yung class. Letter D natin is, let's read Okay, non-resident cinematographic film owner, lessor, or distributor on gross income. Okay, sulat natin. Letter D. Okay. Non-resident cinematographic, okay, film owner, lessor or distributor. Film owner, lessor, or distributor. Right? Now, ang sabi diyang class, yung rate niyan actually mataas. 25% on gross income. Okay? And this one is NRFC. Kaya 25% yan. Okay? Non-resident, so NRFC, cinematographic film owner, lessor or distributor on gross income. Okay, sir, ano ba yung ibig sabihin yan? Non-resident cinematographic film owner. Kasi pag student ka, minimemorize mo lang yan. Tama? O sige, pag cinematographic, pag mahirap i-memorize, cinematographic film owner, blah, 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 25%. So, diba ganun ka pag student? Try natin i-explain yan. Actually, class, this one is related to film business. Okay? To film business. Bigyan natin ng example para mas madali mo maintindihan. For example, class, yung Avengers. Ayan. Pag produce yung Avengers, usually ang budget niya at least mga 300 million US dollars. Okay? Now, alam natin class yung Avengers na yan, well, ang nagpo-produce nan si Marvel Studios. Ngayon class yung mga films na ganyan, lalo na yung mga malalaking films na ganyan. Yung 300 million, part dyan is equity and part dyan is borrowings. Okay? Hindi lahat yan fina-finance ng purely cash. Yung iba dyan, may mga borrowings. Okay? Ang pinag-uusapan natin, class, yung mga nagpapautang sa mga nagpo-produce ng huge films. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng cinematographic film owner, lessor, distributor. Okay. So, for example, si Avengers, 300 million yung budget niya. Ngayon, si Marvel Studio, okay, siya yung magbibigay nito. Okay? Siya yung bahala mag-finance ng equity na yan. Ngayon, yung borrowings na yan, actually marami ito sa US class. No? I don't know if familiar kayo dito, pero siguro nakikita niyo ito sa credit, sa dulo ng mga movies. I don't know if you're familiar, pero ito class yung mga examples of these corporations. So, Amazon Studios. Okay, what else? Yung Black Label Media, ito ba, familiar kayo? Black Label Media and yung CJ Entertainment. Okay? Ito yung mga largest globally. Amazon Studios, Black Label Media, CJ Entertainment. Okay, ganito class yung business nila. Ang ginagawa nila, nagpapautang sila dun sa mga big movies. Okay? So aside sa cash, okay, ang pinapahiram din nila minsan assets. So mga production, okay, sa mga tapings na ganyan, sa marketing, sa promotions, nagpapahiram sila ng assets. Therefore, nag-earn sila ng interest income from this financing. Okay? Bukod sa interest income, minsan may mga sharing din sila ng profits. Got it? So ang pinag-uusapan natin dito, class, is these companies. Now, if yung companies na yan, for example, may nag-produce ng malaking movie sa Philippines, and then, yung companies na yan, nag-finance dun sa movie na yun, sa Philippines. Ang tawag natin sa kanila, they're non-resident cinematographic film owner, lessor, distributor, and they're taxed 25% on gross income. Got it? Okay, so ayan siya. Hopefully, nag-gets yun. Ayan. Next, letter D, letter E. Okay? Letter E is rentals, saan na ako? Yes, rentals, charters, other fees derived by non-resident pa rin, lessors of aircraft, machinery, and other equipment. So, lagay natin, non-resident, lessor of aircraft, okay, machinery, and other equipment. Okay. So, yung tax rate naman nito, class, is 7.5%. Okay? Actually, 7.5% gross income din yan. Now, sir, ano ba yung non-resident lessor of aircraft, machinery, and other equipment? I'll give you an example. For example, class, si Philippine Airlines. Si Philippine Airlines, class, and si Cebu Pacific, usually, nililist lang nila yung mga planes na yan. Okay? Konti lang doon sa mga planes nila, yung talagang binili nila in cash. Okay? Most of the planes, nililist nila yan. Kaya, class, significant yung effect sa kanila ng IFRS 16, yung leases. So, dati kasi naka-operating lease sila. Well, because of IFRS 16, finance lease na lahat yan. Alright? Now, si Philippine Airlines sa Cebu Pacific, usually, nag-release sila from SMBC Aviation Capital, yan yung pangalan. Okay? And then, actually, this is a Japanese company. Okay, Japanese siya. And then yung isa naman is Avolon. Okay? This is based on Ireland. Okay? So basically, yung two companies na yan, yung SMBC, which is based in Japan, and yung Avolon, which is based in Ireland, nagli-lease sila ng planes kay PAL and kay Cebu Pacific. Got it? Yun yung lessor of aircraft. Yun yung ibig sabihin yan. Kaya sila non-resident because ito, based sa Japan, ito naman based sa Ireland. So yung binabayad sa kanila ni PAL, okay, magiging subject yun to 7.5% tax rate. Gets? Okay. Ayan. So, let's move on to letter F na tayo. Okay. So, next naman natin, letter F. Non-resident, lessor of vessels chartered by Philippine nationals. Okay. So, lessor of vessels, bigyan natin ng example. I don't know if familiar kayo dito, class. Yung tax rate for them is 4.5% naman. 4.5%. So, example nito, class, I don't know if familiar kayo sa Maersk or Maersk. It's a shipping company. Actually, largest shipping company siya in the world. Okay? Based siya sa Denmark. Okay? Kaya, I don't know if tama yung pronunciation ko, but Maersk or Maersk. So, class, hindi ko nakakita kayo niyan. Pero yung mga blue containers, yung mga steel containers na rectangular, I don't know if familiar kayo, pero sila yung nagpapa-lease out niyan. Okay, mga shipping containers. Ayan, Maersk Shipping Company. Now, it's a lessor of vessels. Okay, lessor of vessels yan. Yan, yung nadederive nila ng income is, yung tax rate nun is 4.5%. Take note, class, it's non-resident because ang headquarters niya talaga, base siya talaga
in Denmark. Okay? Meron lang siyang operations globally. In the Philippines, maraming nililist sa atin yan, yung Maersk na yan. Okay, anyway. So, that is letter F. Let's go to letter G. Malapit na class. Okay, letter G is Regional Operating Headquarters. Gusto ko siya talaga eh. Okay, so erase natin to. Hindi, actually, gusto ko sana i-retain to. Ito na lang class. Pwede ko nang erase to. Ayan. Saka yung hospitals. Let's go to Regional Operating Headquarters, ROHQ. Okay. Letter E, letter F, letter G, ROHQ. Sir, ano yung ROHQ or Regional Operating Headquarters? Yung tax rate sa kanila class, so tingnan muna natin. Yung tax rate for them is 10%. But starting January 1, 2022, 25% na sila. Okay? Regular corporation na sila. So lagay natin dito. So 10% siya, pero starting January 1, 2022, okay? January 1, 2022, taxable na siya as a regular corporation or resident foreign corporation. So 25% na siya. Got it? Now, yung ROHQ na yung class, kaya siya tinawag na operating. Ibig sabihin meron siyang operations here in the Philippines. Actually, magandang example siya yung mga BPOs. Okay, mga BPOs in the Philippines. For example, Accenture. Okay? JP Morgan. Ano pa yung malalaking BPOs? You have Convergys. You have Teleperformance. Okay? I believe familiar kayong lahat dito. So yung BPOs na yung class, they're considered as ROHQ. So dati, ang tax rate nila is only 10%. Kaya nag-boom yung BPO industry sa Philippines. Dami nagpuntahan dito ng mga BPO companies. Kasi mababa yung tax rate nila, 10%. But starting January 1, tama ba? July 1 or January 1? January 1. Okay? January 1, 2022, magiging taxable na sila as a regular corporation. Alright? Ayan. So, yun yung isa sa mga significant change sa CREATE. Okay? So, very affected yung BPO industry because of CREATE. Anyway, so let's move on to letter H. Letter H naman is, ito na lang, kung meron kang regional operating headquarters, meron tayong regional or area headquarters. So, lagay natin. Regional or area headquarters. Okay. So, yung tax rate sa kanila class, actually, pag regional or area headquarters, exempt sila from income tax. Sir, bakit sila exempt? Because class, tandaan mo, yung regional or area headquarters, if yung ROHQ may operations in the Philippines, okay, yung regional or area headquarters, no operations in the Philippines. Okay? No income in the Philippines. Kaya sila exempt. Okay? They do not earn income from the Philippines. Bigyan natin ng example. So let's say class si PwC SDC or PwC Service Delivery Center. Actually, yung office na nasa, I think nasa Ortigas. Si PwC SDC, actually, ang function niya, sinusupport lang niya yung mga PwC offices. Okay? Supports PwC offices globally. Support lang siya. So, nandyan yung payroll, okay? Hiring, yung mga client assignment, and so on. So, ibig sabihin, class, kapag yung office na yun is support lang to other offices, ang classification niya, regional or area headquarters. Since hindi siya nagde-derive ng income in the Philippines, exempt siya from income tax. Okay? Ang magandang example pa dito, class, yung, di ba, merong Amazon office and Google office sa Philippines. I think nasa BGC yata yan. Tama? So, yung Amazon office and Google office na yan, support offices na sila. Okay? Hindi sila nag-earn ng income. Therefore, classified sila as regional or area headquarters. They are exempt from income tax. Got it? Okay, malapit na. Ayan. Dalawa na lang. Income of OBUs and foreign currency units
Deposit units of depository banks. Sir, ano ibig sabihin yan? GH. Okay, lagay ko nandito class, OBUs and then FCDUs. Okay, ganito yan class. Yung OBUs na yan, okay, offshore banking unit, tandaan mo ganito yan. Ang ibig sabihin lang yan, yan yung division of a foreign bank, okay? For example, ano ba yung mga foreign banks sa Philippines? For example, Citibank. Okay, Citibank Philippines. Ngayon, meron siyang separate division na engaged sa foreign currency denominated transactions. Ang tawag sa kanila, offshore banking unit. Okay? Kaya tinawag na offshore kasi yung mga transactions dyan, foreign currency. Okay? Hindi peso. Ngayon, pag sinabi mong FCDU, okay? Kung ito, division of a foreign bank, ito naman class, division of a local bank. For example, si BDO. Ayan. Si BDO, meron siyang separate division na engaged sa foreign currency transactions. Got it? Ang tawag natin doon, again, OBUs and FCDUs. Now, nilagyan ko ng highlight yan, no? Kasi malaki din yung effect sa kanya ng create. Dati kasi class, it's either exempt or ano yan, exempt or 10%. Okay? Yun yung dati nilang tax rate under create. Pero ngayon, they are now subject to 25% RCIT and 1% MCIT. Okay? So basically, yung OBUs and FCDUs, because of create law, okay, they are now treated as regular corporations. And if you are a regular corporation, magbabayad ka ng RCIT, which is either 25% or 20%, and magbabayad ka ng MCIT, which is 1% or 2%. Got it? So, ulitin ko class. Because ito yung gusto kong maalala mo. OBUs, FCDU, okay, immediately, taxable na siya as a regular corporation. Immediately, okay? Upon effectivity of create law. Now, yung ROHQ, tama? Yung ROHQ, magiging regular corporation siya January 1, 2022 pa. Okay, yun yung difference ng dalawa. Okay? Now, last one. So, dito natin siya lagay. Pagkasyahin ko lang dito class, so last one na naman yan, meron tayong tinatawag na IJ, Branch Profit Remittance. Okay, Branch Profit Remittance. They are subject to 15%. Okay? Branch Remittance Tax ang tawag doon, BRT. 15% Branch Remittance Tax. Yung 15% na yung class, or sir, ano yung pinag-uusapan natin dito? Kung titingnan mo yung classification, Resident Foreign Corporation. Okay? For example, class, si Accenture Philippines. Okay? Si Accenture Philippines, magre-remit siya dun sa parent company niya. Okay? Accenture, actually si Accenture class, yung head office niya nasa Ireland. Ayan, Ireland. So, si Accenture Philippines is a branch, okay? Yung head office nasa Accenture Ireland. Ngayon class, yung kinita ni Accenture Philippines, i-remit niya yan kay parent company, Accenture Ireland. Yung i-remit niya na yung class will be subject to 15%. Okay? Branch remittance tax. Actually, para siyang dividends. Parang dividends yan. Ayan. Now, take note din class na yung 15% na yan, before makapag-remit si Accenture Philippines to Ireland, ina-apply yan kay BSP. Okay? Papaalam ka muna kay BSP, may mga requirements si BSP before you can remit. Yung 15% is based on the total profits applied or earmarked, okay, for remittance. So, ano ibig sabihin yan? 15% is based on total profits applied or earmarked for remittance. For example, class, yung gustong i-remit ni Accenture Philippines is 100 million. Alright? Ngayon, ang gagawin ni Accenture Philippines, i-apply niya muna kay BSP yan. Yun yung applied. Okay? So, na-apply na kay BSP. So, 100 million times 15%, 15 million yung tax ni Accenture Philippines. Pero for example, class, ang niremit lang, yung actual remittance lang ni Accenture Philippines is 50 million. So, how much yung magiging branch remittance tax? Is it based on 100 million na in-apply? Or is it based on 50 million yung actual na pinadala kay Accenture Ireland? Answer is, kung how much yung in-apply mo kay BSP. Okay? So, it means 15% of 100 million. Regardless kung how much pa yung amount na pinadala mo kay Ireland o kay Accenture Ireland. Gets? Alright? So, ayan. So, these are your special corporations. Okay. Now, before we go to our handouts, class, tignan din muna natin yung other items in our Google Sheets. So, kung ibababa mo pa yung sheet natin na yan, nandyan yung exempt GOCCs. Okay? So, again, tandaan mo lang yung 5 na yan. GSIS, SSS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth, and mga local water districts, they're exempt from income tax. Alright? So, actually, natutunan natin yan sa general principles. Kasi class ito, for public purpose kasi yung mga ginagawa nila. Okay? Since for public purpose yan, exempt na lang sila sa tax. Ganun siya. Okay? Yung ibang GOCCs, they are taxable as a normal or regular corporations. For example, class, Land Bank of the Philippines, Development Bank of the Philippines. Subject as a regular corporate income tax. Got it? Okay. So, hindi lahat ng GOCCs exempt ha. Ito lang, yung 5 lang na yan. SSS, GSIS, Pag-ibig, PhilHealth, and local water districts. Now, sa Section 30 in our tax code, in-enumerate dun class yung mga exempt corporations. So, these are corporations na, again, hindi nila kailangan magbayad ng final tax or hindi nila kailangan magbayad ng income tax. Okay? Exempt corporations. So, kasi medyo marami, no? Pero gusto ko mag-focus ka dun sa mga words na naka-bold dyan, yung mga naka-highlight. Because, titingnan lang natin kung ano yung pattern, kung bakit sila exempt. Okay? So, ganito yung class. Kaya siya in-establish yung corporation na yun, okay? If it's not for profit, okay? Pag hindi siya for profit, exempt corporation siya. Okay? So, basahin natin. Mabilis lang. Okay. Number 1, labor, agricultural, or horticultural organization not organized principally for profit. Kaya siya exempt. Gets? Okay. Number 2, mutual savings bank not having a capital stock represented by shares, and cooperative bank without capital stock and operated for purposes and without profit. Okay. Number 3, a beneficiary society or their association operating for the exclusive benefit of the members. Pagka nagbe-benefit lang members, okay, hindi yung mga shareholders nila, not for profit yon. Therefore, exempt corporation yon. Got it? Number 4, cemetery company owned and operated exclusively for the benefit of the members. Non-stock corporation or association organized and operated exclusively for religious, charitable, okay, scientific, etc. No part of its income or assets shall belong or inure to the benefit of any member or any specific person. Okay, so not for profit. Number 6, business league, chamber of commerce, or board of trade not organized for profit. Okay. Number 7, civically organization not organized for profit. Number 8, non-stock, non-profit educational institutions. Okay, na-discuss natin earlier yan. Exempt din sila. Government educational institution, na-discuss natin kanina yan. Yung PUP, UP, PLM, tama? Ayan, exempt sila. Okay, so farmers, other mutual typhoon, blah, blah, blah. So tingin ka class sa last part, for the sole purpose of meeting its expenses. So ibig sabihin, kung ang goal mo lang is to meet the expenses, obviously, hindi ka for profit. Okay? And number 11, farmer, fruit growers, etc. for the purpose of marketing the product of its members and turning back to them. So, benefit of the members, not for profit yun. Okay, so nakuha yung pattern, hindi mo kailangan i-memorize lahat yan. Okay? Nakita lang natin class na may pattern pala siya. So, exempt corporation ka, if in-establish ka, okay, not for profit. Pag nagbe-benefit lang yung mga members, exempt corporation ka dyan. Gets? Alright, so hindi mo kailangan i-memorize yan. Again, yung idea lang. Alright. So I think na-discuss na natin lahat sa Google Sheets natin. Let's practice. Let's go to our handouts. Punta tayo dun class sa number 6. Okay, handouts number 6. Okay. So ayoko sana mag-erase. Kaya lang, wala na tayong space dito. Sige, dito na lang. Ito, pwede ko nang tanggalin to. Okay, so tanggalin ko na to. Ayan muna. So try kong pagkasyahin muna dito yung problem number 6. Okay, problem number 6, how much was the income tax payable for the current year? Okay, ABC University is a non-profit private educational institution with an issued permit to operate from CHED. Uy, na-meet niya yung requirements natin. It is maintained and administered by a company blah, blah, blah. On December 31, it recorded gross receipts amounting to 25 million, of which 15 million came from education-related activities. I-risk yung mga related activities. Sinulat ko kanina yan. While 10 million from unrelated activities. ABC University recorded cost of service, operating expense, related activities, 5 million and 4 million. Unrelated activities, 5 million and 3 million. Ano ulit class yung kailangan mo tandaan? Dapat mas mataas yung related sa unrelated. Okay? Para ma-avail niya yung 1% or 10%. Otherwise, regular corporation siya. Okay? So, ang gagawin ko dito class, ilalagay ko yung related. So, erase ko muna to. Okay? Lagay ko yung related and then unrelated. Okay? Lagay ko na rin yung total. Related, unrelated, and total. Okay, so lagay natin gross receipts, GR na lang. Gross receipts for related. So sabi dyan, yung total daw is 25. Wherein 15 came from related. So lagay natin dito 15 million, 10 million, and then 25 million. Okay. Cost of services. Sabi dyan, class of problem, cost of services for related is 5 million. And then yung unrelated is also 5 million. Therefore, total is 10 million. Okay? So, merong gross receipts minus cost of services. We call it gross income. So, gross income mo from related is 10 million. 5 million sa unrelated. You have 15 million total. Alright. So, we have allowable deductions. How much class? 4 million dun sa related activities. And then, 3 million naman sa unrelated activities. Total is 7 million. Okay. So, yung net taxable income natin, 10 minus 4 is 6 million. 5 minus 3 is 2 million. And then, 15 minus 7 is 8 million. Okay. So, class, take note na hinighlight ko kanina, ang basis mo is gross income. Right? Hindi yung taxable income, gross income. Since for this one, yung related is greater than unrelated, subject tayo to 1%. Got it? And also, yung date dito is 2021. So, ingat ka sa data, 2021. So, again, 1% ka from July 1, 2020 to June 30, 2023. If ang date sa problem, for example, 2023, okay? Starting July 1, 10% na, okay? So, for this one, 1% tayo. So, 8 million times 1%, you get 80,000. Income tax payable natin for this one, for problem number 6 is 80,000. Alright. Erase natin to class. Okay. Let's go to number 7. This is number 6. Let's go to number 7. Number 7, how much was the income tax payable for the current year? ABC Hospital, a private non-profit hospital, has gross receipts of 20 million with a cost of 8 million, okay, and allowable deductions of 4.5 million from related activities. While for its unrelated, it incurred 5 million and 2 million with gross income of 13 million. Okay. So yung rule natin class for non-profit hospital, same lang yung sa rules natin for proprietary education institutions. Okay? So meron pa rin tayong predominance test. So lagay natin dito class, yung related activities. Okay, erase ko na to. So erase ko ng buo yan para may space tayo. So make sure na-copy mo yung solution. Alright, so number 7, lagay natin related activities, unrelated, and then total. Okay. So, lagay natin class, gross receipts from related. So, nakalagay dyan sa problem, you have 20 million. Yes, 20 million. And then, yung cost of services, 8 million ka for related. Okay. So, yung gross income natin is 12. Tama. Allowable deductions is 4.5 million for related. Therefore, net taxable income natin is 7.5 million. Now, for unrelated, it incurred 5 million cost of sales. So, lagay natin 5 million. And then, gross income of 13 daw. So, gross income of 13. Kung 13 yung gross income, cost of sales mo or cost of services mo 5, 18 million yung gross receipts. Okay, allowable deductions, 2 million. Therefore, 11 million yung net taxable income. Okay, so lagyan natin yung total. 20 plus 18, this is 38 million. This is 13 million. 38 minus 13, you have 25 million. 6.5 million, therefore, total net taxable income natin is 18.5 million. Okay. So, yung gross income natin dito, class, is from related activities, mas mababa siya dun sa unrelated activities. Therefore, magiging treated siya as a regular corporation. Okay? So, for this one, let's multiply this by 25%. Yung RCIT natin is 18.5 million. Okay, 18.5 million times 25%, you get 4,625,000. So, answer natin dito, class, is 4,625,000.
for problem number 7. So kaya pag school ka, ingat-ingat, okay? Dapat make sure na yung related mo mas mataas sa unrelated. Okay, so let's go to number 8. Okay, number 8. Sige. Number 8 naman, class, is Regional Operating Headquarters. Company X is a registered ROHQ. So, tingnan natin, ha. Ano ulit, class, yung rule natin sa ROHQ? 10% siya. Okay, pero starting January 1, 2022, regular corporation na siya. 25%. Got it? Okay, so, erase ko na to. Okay. Okay, let's solve. Meron tayong 4 years, 2020, 21, 22, and 23. So, lagay natin dito, class, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Okay. For taxable years 2020-2023, its operations show the following financial results. Annual income, cost of services, gross income, allowable deductions, and you get the net taxable income. O, given na. Hindi natin kailangan computein yung net taxable income. So, rewrite natin sa board. 125,000 for 2020. Okay, 2021, you have 12.8 million. 2022, 15,950,000. And then 2023, negative 1,375,000. Okay. Let's compute for yung RSIT natin or yung tax due natin. So, tingnan natin, class. Yung tax due natin dito, again, since sabi dito, January 1, 2022 pa siya magiging regular corporation. Okay? Ibig sabihin, for years 2020 and 2021, 10% pa rin yung gagamitin natin. Does that make sense? Okay. So, multiply natin by 10%. 125,000 times 20%. 10%, this is 12,500. Okay? Ito yung tax due natin. So, for 2020, answer natin, 12,500. Got it? 2021, still 10%. 12.8 million times 10%, you have 1,280,000 tax due for 2021. Starting 2022, regular corporation ka na. Kapag regular corporation, class, kailangan mong computein both RSIT and MSIT. Tama? Okay. So, RSIT natin, 15,950,000 times 25%. 15,950,000 times 25%. RSIT natin, class, is 3,987,500. Okay? Yung MSIT natin, gross income. Okay, asan yung gross income? Nakita nyo, class, yung gross income dyan na 58.5 million. Okay? So, 58.5 million times, since 2022 yan, 1% yung gagamitin natin sa MSIT. Tama? 58.5 million times 1%, you get 585,000. 585,000, we pick whichever is higher, then answer for 2022 is 3,987,500. Got it? So, dito ka magiging regular corporation, dyan ka magko-compute ng RSIT and MSIT. Let's do the same thing for 2023. Since negative amount yan, RSIT natin is 0, automatic. Okay? Now, yung MSIT natin, remember, class, na yung MSIT natin starting July 1, 2023. Okay? Double check na natin. Starting July 1, 2023, back to 2% na yan. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, class, yung gross income natin sa 2023, nakita niyo ba sa problem, it's 33,750,000. Nakita mo yan? So, ganito gagawin ko dyan. Yung 33,750,000, okay, lagay ko dito, MSIT 2023. Okay? Yung gross income ko na 33,750,000, yung first half niyan, yung kalahati, multiply ko by 1%, yung other half, multiply ko by 2%. Tama? Sige nga. 33,750,000 divided by 2, okay, yung first half of the year, times 1%, I get here 168,750. Okay? And then second half of the year, 33,750,000 times 2% times 0.5, 337,500. 337,500. Yung total MSIT natin, plus 168,750, 506,250. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, class, for 2023, RSIT mo is 0, MSIT mo is 506,250. We pick whichever is higher. Answer, 506,250. Okay, so yung gusto ko, class, na ma-highlight sa'yo sa problem number 8, very important yung dates. Okay, dates are very important. As you notice, ROHQ siya. Okay? So, 2020 and 2021, 10% pa rin yan. Okay? Starting January 1, 2022,
regular corporation. Therefore, we computed for RSIT and MSIT. Take note class na sa 2023, okay, starting July 1, 2023, 2% na yung computation ng MSIT natin. Kaya yung first half, 1%, yung second half, 2% kinompute natin. We add 506,250, we pick whichever is higher, then we pay 506,250. Right? Okay, so that's for number 8. Okay, so punta tayo class sa number 14. Ayan, number 14. Sige. Number 14, pwede ko nang erase to. Okay, number 14. C. Lapit na tayo matapos sa corporations. ABC Corporation provided the following data for calendar year ending December 31, 2021. Exchange rate is $1 is 250 pesos. Okay? Meron kang Philippines and then meron kang USA. Okay, so class, convert na natin yung dollars into Philippine peso. Okay? So 40,000 times 50, so write it down, 2 million. 15,000 deductions times 50, 750,000, so write it down. $3,000 times 50, 150,000. Okay? Now, so number 14, meron tayong different requirements. Okay? Requirement number 1, what if daw yung corporation is a domestic corporation? Well, if it's a domestic corporation, taxable siya within and without the Philippines. So, gagawin natin dyan. So, yung Philippines natin, okay? Ito yung PH, okay? Ito yung USA, and then we have the total. Right? Meron tayong gross income in the Philippines, it's 4 million. Sa US naman, it's 2 million. Therefore, we have 6 million. Allowable deductions, 2.5 million in the Philippines. For US, we have 750,000. And then, meron kang 3,250,000 total. Right? You get the net taxable income, 1.5 million in the Philippines, 1,250,000 sa US. Total natin is 2,750,000. Okay, since this is a domestic corporation, multiply lang natin yan by 25%. Okay? In total. Right? So, times 25%, 2,750 times 25%, 687,500. 687,500, this is your RSIT. Okay? And then yung MSIT natin, 6 million times 1%. Okay? So, 6 million times 0.01, you have 60,000. MSIT natin is 60,000. Obviously, RSIT yung pipiliin natin, 687,500. Alright. Pero class, hindi pa yan yung sagot. Okay? Because, may nakalagay dyan na income tax paid. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, class, ang nangyari dito, si ABC Corporation, nagbayad siya sa US ng $3,000. Do you remember yung sa resident citizen natin, sa individuals? Meron tayong isang exercise doon wherein pwede nating i-minus yung binayad mo na tax abroad. Applicable din yan sa domestic corporations because resident citizens and domestic corporations are taxable globally. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, class, pwede tayong mag-compute ng tax credit. So, tax credit, yung actual na payment abroad is 150,000. Tama? Ngayon, meron tayong limit. Okay? Yung how much natin pwede i-deduct. So, yung limit natin is computed as ipo-prorate natin, class. Okay? Ganito yan. Yung 687,500, right? Dalawa yung pinanggalingan yan. Okay? It came from taxable income from the Philippines and taxable income sa US. Ipo-prorate natin siya. Okay? So, kunin natin yung portion na galing sa US. So, 1,250, this one, over 2,750. Okay? Ito yung limit natin. So, 687,500 times 1,250 divided by 3,750, you get, ulit. So, 1,250 divided by 2,750, okay? 2,750 times 687,500. So, nakuha ko dito, class, is 312,500. Alright? So, 312,500. Obviously, since limit siya, ang pipiliin mo lagi whichever is lower. Okay? So, tandaan mo, class, sa point of view ni BIR, mas gusto niya, mas malaki yung babayaran mo. Therefore, pag may mga deductions na ganyan or yung mga credits, ang rule lagi whichever is lower. Okay? Para mas malaki yung bayaran mo kay BIR. Therefore, pipiliin natin diyang, class, is 150,000. Minus the tax credits, 150,000. 687,500 minus 150,000. Answer natin dito, class, is 537,500. Yun. Answer natin sa requirement number 1, 537,500. Requirement number 2. Okay. If the corporation is a domestic corporation, but it opts to claim the tax paid abroad as deductions from gross income. So, ganito yan, class. Yung tax payment abroad, right? So, lagay ko dito. Tax payment abroad. Dalawa yung pwedeng treatment dyan, class, no? Kasi, to avoid yung double taxation, ito yung remedies for domestic corporations para pwede niyang ma-deduct yung binayad niya sa tax abroad. Pwedeng tax credits, okay, which we did dito sa requirement number 1. If the problem is silent, tax credits gagamitin mo. Or number 2, pwede maging part siya of the allowable deductions. Got it? Now, ganun gawin natin sa requirement number 2. Sabi dyan, but it opts to claim the tax paid abroad as deductions from gross income. So, ang gagawin ko dito, class, yung gross income natin is 6 million. Tama? So, gross income, 6 million. And then, yung allowable deductions, 3,250. Add mo dyan yung 150,000 na binayad mo abroad. Okay? 3,250 plus 150, you have 3.4 million. 6 million minus 3.4 million, yung net taxable income natin is 2.6 million. Right? 2.6 million. Multiply natin, class, by 25% RSIT. So, 2.6 million times 25%, you get 650,000. Final answer, requirement number 2, 650,000. So, ulitin ko, kapag meron kang binayaran na sa abroad, okay, if you're a domestic corporation, dalawa yung ways para ma-avoid yung double taxation. Pwedeng tax credits, which is yung requirement number 1, or pwedeng maging part of deductions, which is requirement number 2. Gets? Alright. Pero applicable lang yan kapag domestic corporations because domestic corporations are taxed globally. Number 3. Kapag naman, class, resident foreign, lagay mo dyan, resident foreign, okay? Resident foreign corporation, well, based on net taxable income, okay? In the Philippines lang. Nasaan yun? Net taxable income in the Philippines, 1.5 million. Multiply natin by 25%, okay? 1.5 million times 25%, you get 375,000. This is our SIT, okay? Siyempre, subject din sa MSIT yan. So, yung gross income na 4 million times 1%, you have 40,000. This is your MSIT, okay? Siyempre, we pick whichever is higher. Answer natin dyan, 375,000. Number 4, if NRFC naman, okay? Non-resident foreign corporation, well, taxable sila based on gross income. Okay, saan yung gross income? 4 million. So, gross income na 4 million, multiply natin by 25%, you get 1 million. Okay? In a form of final withholding tax. So, take note, kapag non-resident foreign corporations, they are not subject to MSIT. So, final answer, 1 million final withholding tax. Alright, so requirement number 5. What if international carrier, ba? Sir, familiar yan ah. Ito yan ah. International carrier, 2.5% on gross Philippine billings or basically, yun yung gross income. Okay, so erase natin to. Okay. So, international carrier, requirement number 5. Piliin mo dyan yung gross income sa Philippines. Nasaan yung class? 4 million. Okay? So class, bakit siya Philippines lang? Bakit hindi mo sinama yung US? Okay? Because yung international carrier na yan, resident foreign corporation yan. And resident foreign corporations are taxed only on income derived within the Philippines. Okay? So gross Philippine billings or the gross income of 4 million, multiply natin by 2.5%. Okay? So 4 million times 2.5%. You get 100,000. Answer natin sa requirement number 5 is 100,000. Requirement number 6. Non-resident cinematographic film owner or lessor. Okay, 25% on gross income. So gross income in the Philippines, which is 4 million, multiply natin by 25%. 1 million is the answer for requirement number 6. Okay, requirement number 7. What if naman non-resident lessor of vessel, okay? 7, non-resident lessor of vessel, nasa na yun? Ito, 4.5% siya, okay? So, gross income in the Philippines, 4 million times 4.5%. Answer natin dito, class, is 180,000. Okay. Let's go to requirement number 8. What if naman class, it's a non-resident lessor of aircraft. Okay, machineries, equipment, 7.5% naman yan. So gross income in the Philippines, 4 million times 7.5%. Answer mo dito class is 300,000. Okay, so para maalala mo yan, dito class yung aircraft, di ba yung aircraft nasa air yan? Okay, so nasa air, 7 point, mas mataas yan. Ito yung air, ito yung sea, tama? Okay, so yung sea mas mababa. Okay, so 4.5% yung sea na yan, yung mga vessels. Okay, since yung aircraft nasa taas yan, mas mataas yan sa 4.5%. So this is 7.5%. Alright? Okay, let's go to number 9. If the corporation is a regional operating headquarters, may binigay ba sa ating year? Yung year na binigay sa atin is 2021. Okay, 2021. Kailan ba magiging subject to regular corporation yung ROHQ natin? Starting, tingnan natin nasan yan. ROHQ, okay, starting January 1, 2022. So 10% pa rin siya for now, okay? Number 9, ROHQ, gross income. Actually, pag ROHQ class, it's a taxable siya based on its net taxable income. So 1.5 million, right? So net taxable income na 1.5 million in the Philippines times 10%. Okay, answer natin dito class is 150,000. Pero kung ang date sa atin is 2022, okay, subject na siya sa regular corporation. Okay. Number 10, if the corporation is a regional or area headquarters, ano yung rule natin dyan class? Since regional area headquarters na support lang siya to other offices, hindi siya nade-derive ng income, therefore answer natin sa number 10 is 0 because exempt sila from income tax. Okay? And last one, number 11. Tingnan natin class. Number 11. Okay. If the corporation is a resident foreign corporation and it applied with a BSP remittance of 1.5 million, okay? But only remitted 1,250,000. So how much yung branch remittance tax natin? Okay? Yung 1.5, iyan yung in-apply or earmarked for remittance. Yung 1,275, iyan yung actual na pinadala sa head office. So again, yung 15% na branch remittance tax is based on yung amount na in-apply mo kay BSP. So 1.5% times 15% or 1.5 million times 15%, you get 225,000. Answer natin class for number 11, 225,000. All right.